The wind crawled low across the canyon floor, dragging dust in long, whispering fingers. Twilight had spilled over the cliffs like old ink, sinking the world into shadows and silence. Only the brittle creak of dry brush and the occasional rustle of wind-blown stone stirred in the emptiness. The old wolf moved alone. His coat, once proud and thick, hung in grizzled patches. Scars lined his flank, and a jagged split in one ear marked a lifetime of survival. He limped, not dramatically, but enough to tell the story of a winter that had taken more than just warmth. His breath was shallow, his ribs visible beneath his silvered fur, yet his eyes remained sharp, flint-like. He had not eaten in 2 days. The scent of jackrabbit had teased him earlier that morning, but he was too slow, too old. His strength was dwindling, and instinct had begun to shift from hunger to something quieter, a dull yearning to lie down and let the wind finish its work. That's when he heard it. Not a call, not a howl or whimper, just a break in the stillness, a wet, rattling breath too weak to reach the stars. The wolf paused, his ears twitched. He turned toward the sound, paws silent on the sand as he stepped through the narrow throat of the canyon. The scent came slowly, layered. Blood, horseflesh, and something else. Fear, young and thick. There, half hidden beneath a fallen juniper, lay the black Mustang Foal. It was small, too small, with legs bent awkwardly beneath its trembling body. A gash split the length of its side, raw and red, exposing muscle beneath the matted coat. One eye fluttered, unfocused. Its breath came in gasps that threatened to stop altogether. The wolf stopped 5 paces away. He stared. So did the foal. For a long moment, the canyon held its breath. The wolf stepped forward. The foal flinched violently, a panicked twist of hooves and fear. It didn't get far. A choked whinny escaped its throat, more air than sound, and it collapsed again, shuddering. The wolf stood over it now. His tongue flicked over his teeth. This was not a chase, no risk, no effort, an easy end, a mercy, but something held him there. He looked at the foal, really looked, not as prey, but as something else. It wasn't just dying. It was alone. Its body told the story, abandoned in a stampede, maybe injured in the chaos, maybe left behind when the herd ran from danger. Either way, it had been forgotten. The wolf's tail dropped low. He turned away and lay down. He did not touch the foal. He did not lick his lips or bare his teeth. He simply settled into the dust beside it, curling into himself, eyes half-lidded, as if sleep had called him there. The foal trembled. Minutes passed. Then more. Night came fully, and with it, cold. The old wolf shifted closer. Not much. Just enough that his body blocked the worst of the wind. The foal didn't move, but its breaths came slightly steadier now, less ragged. The scent of blood still hung in the air, but its heat had dulled. A coyote called in the distance. Another answered. The wolf raised his head but didn't reply. He simply watched the horizon, ears alert, body still. By morning, frost rimmed the tips of the juniper needles. The foal hadn't died. Its eye opened, clearer this time. It blinked slowly. Its legs twitched, involuntary movements, but movements nonetheless. The wolf stood, stretched with a soft groan, and padded away without a sound. When he returned, hours later, a small rabbit hung from his jaws. He dropped it a few paces from the foal and sat. He did not eat, he watched. The foal made no move. The wolf waited. It wasn't about the meat. It was the gesture, a wordless offer. A strange one. The canyon was quiet again. For 3 days, the wolf stayed. He left at dawn and returned before dusk. Sometimes he brought food, sometimes he didn't, but he always came back. always lay beside the foal at night, close enough. That warmth passed between them. The foal, against reason, lived. Its wounds didn't heal, not yet, but the bleeding slowed. The eyes grew clearer. It began to shift its weight, pushing weakly with its forelegs. Its coat lost the glassy sheen of near death. The wolf watched all this without expression, but his tail, once low and still, began to move faintly in the evenings, a slow flick, back and forth. Not joy, something more ancient. The foal bleated, weakly one morning, a high, thin sound. The wolf raised his head. Their eyes met, and the wind moved through the canyon once more, not cold, but carrying with it something new. Not hope, recognition. By the fourth night, the foal struggled upright. Its legs wobbled beneath it like reeds in a storm, but it stood. The wolf rose as well. They stood there together, shadows cast long by the rising moon. The foal leaned forward, unsure, and pressed its forehead lightly against the wolf's neck. The old wolf did not pull away. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in many winters, he did not feel alone. Not entirely, not tonight. The sun bled slowly over the ridge, casting long shadows across the canyon floor as a hush settled between the old wolf and the foal. The bond they'd struck had no language, no ritual, only time, silence, and shared breath in the cold dark. Yet something had changed, not outwardly, not loudly, but in the unseen space that held them close. The foal could now stand, though not for long. Each attempt trembled with effort, muscles straining beneath its dark coat. The wound on its side had begun to scab, jagged and swollen, a crude stitch sealed by nature's slow will. When it fell hard, but it always tried again. Wolf watched, motionless. Every time the foal collapsed, his eyes narrowed, not with disappointment, but something older, memory. In the set of the foal's legs, he saw echoes of another struggle, one buried in snow and howls. Years ago, he'd been the one who couldn't rise. The memory came unbidden, rising with the morning mist. A hunt, his last with the pack. They'd cornered a buck near the riverbank. Hunger had made them reckless. The deer had kicked hard, panic lending its strength. A single strike shattered the wolf's hind leg, the crack like thunder in his bones. The rest of the pack had circled the buck, finishing what he could not. He had tried to follow, dragging himself through the snow, yelping low in pain. But the pack had moved on. By nightfall, they were gone. Abandoned, just like this foal had been. That winter he'd nearly died. He never did learn if they left him or forgot him. The foal stumbled again, catching itself against the rocks. A small grunt escaped its throat, not pain, but frustration. The wolf rose slowly, his joints aching. He approached the foal, brushing his side gently against its flank. The foal leaned into the contact, trembling, but stayed upright. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The days passed in rhythm. At dawn, the wolf would vanish, silent as smoke, returning with something small, a vole, a squirrel, sometimes nothing. He ate little himself, giving most of what he caught to the foal. It didn't eat meat, not truly, but it licked the blood, from the bones, drawn to the salt of life. It was survival, nothing more, nothing less. Nights were harder. The wind would rise and sweep the canyon with a bitter edge. The foal's shivers turned violent in the cold. The wolf would curl tightly, around it his body a barrier against the elements. He gave what little heat he had left, pressing close, breathing slow. The stars watched silently overhead. One night, the coyotes came. They didn't howl, not at first. They crept through the narrow pass, silent-footed and sharp-eyed. The wolf caught their scent long before their eyes glinted in the dark. He rose, low and slow, placing himself between them and the foal. There were three, lean, hungry, unafraid. They recognized age in him. They could smell it. Their growls were low, almost eager. The foal whined, a weak note of fear. The wolf didn't look back, his ears pinned and his teeth flashed white beneath the moon. They circled. He didn't move. The first lunge came from the left. A test, nothing more. The wolf lunged back, teeth snapping, blood. The coyote yelped and skittered away, tail low. Another came in high. The wolf caught it midair, jaws clamping down on its shoulder. A vicious shake, a scream. They retreated, limping, defeated, not by strength, but by will. He stood there for a long time after they'd gone, panting hard, one leg dragging slightly more than before. His breath steamed the cold air. The foal watched him, eyes wide. And then, for the first time, it took a step toward him. Not out of necessity, but choice. A tentative reach of one leg, then the next, until it stood beside him. It lowered its head and pressed its muzzle gently to his side. The wolf did not react, but his breathing slowed. The next morning, the foal did not wait to be helped. It rose on its own, legs shaking but steady. The sun caught its coat, revealing the sheen of recovery, not yet whole, but healing. The wolf sat nearby, watching. No flicker of pride touched his face, but his ears lifted ever so slightly. By midday, the foal walked 10 steps unaided. By dusk, it walked 20. And then, unexpectedly, it trotted, awkward, short bursts of movement that sent pebbles scattering. Each time it faltered, it righted itself faster. The wolf followed from a distance, a silent guardian. A hawk circled high overhead. Somewhere, far off, a stream gurgled faintly. The air smelled of sage and stone. When night returned, the foal didn't collapse into sleep immediately. It stood beside the wolf, legs tired but defiant. It leaned against him once, briefly, then stepped back and lowered itself to the ground. The wolf lay beside it. That night, neither of them trembled. Stillness came like a soft cloak, and the stars burned quietly above them. The wolf's breath was slow, measured. The foal's chest rose and fell in calm rhythm. The wind no longer howled. Something had taken its place. Not silence, but peace. They would not stay here forever. Something in the wolf's bones told him that. This canyon was a cradle, not a home. The world beyond waited, wide and wild and full of teeth. But not tonight. Tonight was theirs. And though the future crept closer with each breath, neither of them turned to face it yet. The wind changed on the 5th morning. It rolled in low and hot, heavy with scents from far beyond the canyon walls. Dust, smoke, sweat. The foal lifted its head, nostrils flaring. The wolf, still curled in the shade of the rocks, opened one. Something was coming. The foal could walk now, clumsily, still favoring its injured side, but stronger each day. Where its ribs once jutted, flesh had begun to return. It had learned to nibble at sparse canyon grasses, though it still licked at the bones the wolf left behind. Its eyes were clearer, holding the flicker of instinct that spoke of flight and fire. But survival breeds new danger. Later that morning, the wolf found tracks, hoofprints wide and deep, cutting through the dust just beyond the northern slope. Not wild Mustangs. These were shod, heavy, deliberate. Humans, riders, horses that answered to reins and spurs. He sniffed the air, ears twitching. He did not fear them for himself. The old knew better than to fear the inevitable. But the foal was something else now. No longer just a creature on the edge of death. Now it was possibility. Fragile, trembling, unfinished. He turned back. The foal was waiting. It always was. They moved from the canyon that day, climbing carefully up the crumbling slope beneath the ridge. The wolf led, pausing often, ensuring the foal could follow. Each step away from the cradle of the canyon felt heavier, more deliberate. But the world was shifting, and they could not afford to remain hidden. By evening, they reached the high plain. The land stretched wide and open beneath a bleeding sky. Hills rolled like the backs of sleeping giants, and shadows pooled in every dip. A stand of junipers offered them cover, and they rested there as the sun slipped beneath the edge of the earth. That night, the riders came. They moved like a storm. Fast, loud, a mess of snorting horses and shouting men. Lamps swayed on the saddles, casting wild halos across the plain. The wolf smelled sweat, gunpowder, and leather. The foal froze, not from pain, from memory. This was the herd it had come from. The scent was familiar, but not comforting. There had been no return for it, no search, no grief, just galloping hooves and wide, wild eyes. The wolf pressed low in the brush. The foal crouched beside him, heart pounding loud enough for them both to hear. The men were laughing, careless. They weren't looking for a lost foal. They were chasing something else, maybe a cougar, maybe a rumor. They didn't see the two figures hidden in the trees. The moment passed like a thunderclap, loud but fleeting, and then they were gone. The foal did not move for a long time. Only when the last echo of hoofbeats died did it breathe again. The wolf rose and stepped into the open. The foal followed. They traveled west. The landscape grew harder, less forgiving. Thorny mesquite replaced soft grass, and the earth cracked in wide, thirsty veins. Water became scarce. The wolf grew leaner. The foal, too, faltered, not from injury, but exhaustion. Their steps grew slower, and still they moved forward. One morning they found a dry riverbed, littered with animal bones bleached white by the sun. The wolf sniffed at them, disinterested. Death did not frighten him. It was simply part of the trail. But the foal lingered, eyes wide, ears pinned. There was something sacred in the stillness, something terrible and honest. They rested in the shade of a cottonwood stump. The wolf lay with his head on his paws. The foal grazed quietly, lips searching through brittle weeds. A vulture circled overhead. It was here that the wolf collapsed. No warning, no cry. One moment he stood, watching the horizon. The next, his legs gave out, and he sank to the ground, trembling. The foal whinnied, not loud, but urgent. It stepped toward him, nudging his shoulder. The wolf did not rise. His eyes were open, clouded, but alert. It wasn't illness. It was time. The foal paced in circles, anxious. It nuzzled him again, harder this time. The wolf exhaled slowly, a rasping breath like wind scraping bone. Stillness returned. But the wolf was not gone, not yet. By nightfall, he rose again, barely. Just enough to walk 10 steps and collapse beside the foal. The message was clear. This was the end of their journey. The foal lay beside him, pressed close. It no longer trembled in the night. It no longer waited to be saved. It had learned. The stars were clearer that night, sharp and bright, undisturbed by clouds. The air cooled, and the silence wrapped around them like a blanket. The wolf slept. For the first time in days, the foal kept watch. And somewhere, just beyond the edge of dreams, something vast and quiet shifted. A breath held. A heartbeat paused. The wind stilled, and dawn waited. The morning came quietly, like a breath the earth had forgotten to release. The sky was a pale wash of gold and silver, and the plain stirred beneath it, a world awakening without sound. The wolf did not rise. His body lay still beneath the cottonwood stump, fur ruffled by the breeze, one ear tilted slightly as though still listening. His chest no longer lifted. The fire in his eyes, that ancient storm of instinct and memory, had faded into calm shadow. The foal stood beside him, silent. It did not cry. It did not run. Instead, it bent its head low, touching its muzzle to the old wolf's paw. A gesture learned not through instinct, but through the strange language they'd written together in the dirt, in the cold, in the long nights between breath and silence. Then it turned toward the rising sun. It walked. Slowly at first. Each step was a prayer, a test of its own strength, a farewell. There was no guidance now, no shadow to follow. Only the call inside its bones, the pull of something wider, wilder, and waiting. The land stretched ahead in waves of ochre and dust. Crows circled high above, but did not follow. Somewhere far off, thunder muttered across the mountains. The foal moved toward it, toward the storm, toward whatever life would shape its next beginning. Midday brought heat, sharp and blistering. The foal stumbled once, but did not stop. Its legs had grown stronger, forged by ache and persistence. It did not know where it was going, only that forward meant survival. It passed through scrubland, over cracked clay, past silent groves and dry creeks. The sun lowered, and the wind shifted again, bringing with it the scent of wild grass, of moisture on stone, and something else. Horses. Not the heavy-footed thunder of human riders, but the rhythm of untamed hooves, light and fierce. The foal lifted its head. Across the ridge, silhouetted against the dying light, a herd moved. Like smoke. Wild mustangs, 20, maybe more. Muscles rippling under coats of roan, chestnut, white. Ears flicking, tails swishing, eyes sharp and wary. The foal froze. It watched them, heart pounding. Not fear, not anymore. Only wonder. They were the dream it had forgotten how to name. The world it was born for but never truly knew. And then, from within the herd, a black mare stepped forward. She was tall, lean, eyes ringed with wisdom. Her coat matched the foal's, almost perfectly, as if time had folded over on itself. She nickered softly, ears pricked. The foal didn't move. But then another Mustang, a young buckskin with a jagged scar across his flank, trotted closer, snorting gently. Behind him, more heads lifted. One by one they noticed. One by one they turned. And then, a sound. Low, curious. The black mare stepped forward again, nostrils flaring. The foal took a trembling step. Another, then a third, faster, stronger. The mare met it halfway. They touched noses, breath mingling. No judgment, no fear, just recognition. A quiet welcome. The herd accepted the foal with the ease of those who understand survival. There was no ceremony, no test. Just space made, hooves shifting, bodies adjusting, the way the wild makes room for what it does not question. That night, beneath a sky littered with stars, the foal lay curled among its kin. It did not tremble. It did not dream of teeth, or blood, or the dark cold. It dreamed of the canyon, of a shape that moved like wind, of a voice that had no words but still said everything. The old wolf was gone, but not lost. His presence lived in the foal's breath, in its stride, in the way it looked into the wind without blinking. He had not saved it with force or fire. He had given it the one thing no wound could take away, the strength to keep walking. And now the foal would run. Not today. Not yet. But soon. And when it did, the wind would carry its story across the plain. A tale of survival, of unexpected kindness, of one life saving another, not through might, but through quiet, relentless presence. Some would call it instinct. Others, miracle. But those who listened closely would hear the truth buried in the silence between hoofbeats. That even the oldest, loneliest creature can become a guide. That even the weakest can find their way. And that sometimes, the wild saves itself, not through violence, but through grace. When the herd moved again, the foal moved with them, not behind, among, and far, far behind them, beneath a cottonwood stump where bones bleached slowly under the sun, the wind stirred once more, as if saying goodbye.